I was going to ask you because I think too few people are aware of this. Is there a leaning of Agile? Is there a type of Agile that you prefer or that you've been exposed to? Because Crystal, Kanban, all those Scrumban. I just had somebody today ask me, "Hey, what's the difference?" And I said, pretty much the same with different words.
Pretty much the same thing, yeah, just different type. And there's Kanban with a cadence and Scrum with There's like an infinite number of varieties. So I'm a huge lean fan. Love
awesome.
Lean.
Awesome.
Waste, eliminating the waste, finding efficiencies and things like that. Along that, I use Kanban to help with that. But I also, where necessary, we use Scrum, right? Because Scrum is all of these are tools in the toolbox, right?
Yeah.
You use what's
so you basically use it at whatever fits the situation, the context.
Exactly right.
Awesome.
Exactly right.
Great.
Yep.
Great. Why are you in this space? So I'm still missing the passion. You did a perfect rundown, perfect bullet point, but I know you well enough. There's some passion in there.
There's passion.
You couldn't be who you are if there wasn't some kind of passion involved in there.
They're really, and that's, Mark, it's a really important point, is that to be in this space and to be in our space, you have to have passion in what you're doing, because if you don't, all right, great, you're going to deliver, you're going to do some good stuff, but there's no fun, you're not making any change, you're not making a difference. And you really have to have some passion in what you're doing. And absolutely, I've got passion in this. So when I was in the banking space, I just noticed the monumental failures, the organizational challenges, the poor behaviors. I'm going to be very, me, Mark, I'm going to be very blunt about something. Lack of leadership, an absolute lack of leadership. Leaders taking us down the wrong direction. And I thought there's got to be a better way. I hated just doing the same thing over and over again and following, having the same failures. So that's what brought me to Agile. It's more about empowerment and people doing the work and treating people with respect.
Yeah.
Just that simple thing. That's not
some common sense stuff.
Yeah. Right.
Some common sense
humans, and that's what kind of got me there.
Yeah. Now, when you worked in the banking space, I'm assuming that most of your projects were IT related?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Almost all of them were IT in the banking space. Yes.
Now,
exactly.
we could ask the Gartner group or the Standish group what their top 10 reasons are for failing at projects. But I've always noticed when I look at their list, the causes for project failure are always services that they offer in their consulting program. Your project manager needs to be trained. You need a spiffy enterprise software.
Are you saying consultants aren't always obvious and honest about their desire and how they're leading people? Is that what you're saying, Mark? I don't know.
Sometimes, yeah. So let me ask you a question. If from your perspective, what were some of the main driving forces of failure, and what types of failures did you have in your project?
Yeah, so
hold on a second. Hold on, let me close the mailing program. Should I ask the question again, or? Okay, we'll cut off there. So ready? Okay, there we go. All you.
Okay.
So why, the question was, why did projects fail?
Why do projects fail? So we had, a lot of the same reasons that most projects fail. One of the biggest challenges, quite honestly, is lack of clarity, lack of understanding of what success is going to look like. Mm-hmm. Why are we even doing the project? That's a huge one. And that's especially from a lean background. Why are we even doing some of the work that we're doing is huge. Poor requirements, misunderstanding of requirements, unrealistic expectations of deadlines, poor leadership, lack of leadership, where people aren't there to support you and to remove problems. We could go on and on. The problems that we've seen, I'm sure, Mark, you've seen them 1,000 times yourself. They're always the same reasons, right?
Yeah. It's interesting that you say it, because I have a little bit of a bank background. I was my first large project that I worked on. I've actually interviewed the former project manager and the project office manager from that project in my third podcast. Was a multi-million euro project, fusion of the two largest banks in Austria. And we were actually fairly successful. We used more of a predictive methodology. And then for about 20 years, I was kind of the go-to trainer for another bank that was building up a PMO. And then I trained a great majority of their staff. And interesting enough, I'd like to hear your feedback on this too. That bank also had this in the matrix perspective of thing, they had kind of the 3-dimensional matrix attitude. They had the line organization, they had the project organization, and then they had their change organization kind of embedded in between the two. And they originally started off with
change,
process management, and then process reengineering. Then they did Six Sigma, and I was like, why are you doing Six Sigma? That's kind of a weird place
I've had
to
some
do it in the
experience
bank.
with those transformations too.
And then they went to Lean,
and
and then they went to Agile Tribes, and that's where I thought they went overboard.
Completely.
I don't know what a traditional bank has to do with Spotify methodology.
Spotify doesn't have anything to do with the Spotify methodology. It doesn't exist. We can get into that later, right?
We'll get into that.